Alright, so this is basically take three, and today we're going to be talking about the Minutemen, not the colonial militia, but the punk rock band from the 1980s. So I just want to get started by noting that the band started in San Pedro, California, and they were active sometime between 1980 and 1985. Their members were, you had, D. Boone as the guitarist and songwriter. Mike Watt was also the bassist and songwriter. And you had George Hurley as a drummer and Frank Tonch, or it might be Tonchi. I've never heard his name actually spoken, so I'm just going to assume it's Tonch. And I'm just going to rip off Wikipedia here and tell you what it means when you say that they were an economical rock band. So the group's early recordings were basically recorded as econo, which is slang for inexpensive and short for economical. The group would book studio time after midnight at cut rates, tech their own shows, practice the songs before going into the studio, record on less expensive used tape, and record the songs in the order they intended to have them on the record, rather than waste time editing the master tape during the sequencing phase. In fact, contrary to standard practice even in indie rock, Minutemen sometimes saw records as a way to promote their tours and not the other way around. Wikipedia continues and says, Minutemen toured frequently, but usually only for a weeks at a time, or for a few weeks at a time, and they all held down day jobs. But their econo practices helped ensure that their tours were generally profitable, and they actually were profitable in another sense because they were actually quite an influential band. They kind of helped kick off post-punk, post-hardcore, and funk rock genres. So as far as I'm concerned, they probably had an influence on bands like Primus. And, that alone it's something to put on a resume. So obviously you can listen to the music, but if you want to see a decent documentary about Minutemen, check out the 2006 documentary We Jam Econo, which is also available on DVD if you cannot find it online. I watched that for the first time a few years back myself, and it's actually pretty good. There's a surprising amount of documentaries on punk rock that are actually halfway decent, and that's one of them. So I recommend musically that you check out their album from 1984 called Double Nickels on the Dime, and that's actually a double album. So they've got cool songs with interesting titles, such as, Theater is the Life of You, Do You Want New Wave or Do You Want the Truth? And you've also got Nature Without Man, political song for Michael Jackson to sing, Maybe Partying Will Help, and God Bows to Math, among other memorable song titles. And their music it's hard to explain because it is sort of like punk rock. I mean, it is punk rock, and their songs are usually pretty darn short, kind of fitting in with the whole economical aspect that is associated with the band. But also, it incorporates elements of jazz, as suggested. There's some funk rock elements to it as well, and they're just a different band. They didn't really play by the rules, and definitely, if you want to pick up an album for record store day, you could be worse than, listening to them. So let's see, what else can I say here? I guess, like I suggested, the music sort of redefines punk, and We Jam Econo may not be some sort of a award-winning documentary as far as I know, but it's definitely an excellent thing to watch. Check it out. And for some reason I can't explain, the band's music evokes autumn for me. You know, it reminds me of fall, maybe like Halloween time. I don't know why. It's funny because they're not like a goth band or anything, but for some reason I just think of like orange leaves and such. Don't know why that is. So that's just kind of a spare, irrelevant observation. But you know, it's funny how music does that sometimes. So anyway, this is my short little talk on the Minutemen. You might be able to say they came, they saw, and they jammed Econo. Have a nice day.